So I hope you guys liked that last round where we only got to see game 1 off of Tord and Pablo's match, where Tord actually somehow ended up losing game 1 even though Pablo misplayed. But yeah, so we're here for the finals now. I guess Tord must have won the other 2 matches. I'm not going to be able to see it, but whatever. We got Alex Szymanski, the finalist of every tournament he's ever been in, versus Tord Reklev, the person who wins every international championship, and this is an international championship. So what would be expected to happen is Alex should lose to Tord. That is how the books have been written. We will just have to see if that is exactly how it turns out. So we are going to fast forward just a little bit to get through the shuffling. We'll also see if they show us the prize cards, which they did not quite really do. I don't see it on here. We will get right into it. So for those who are not familiar with both of these players, Alex Szymanski is playing a deck that consists of Arceus V-Star along with Duraludon V-Max and Alolan Vulpix V-Star and double Drapion. So the deck likes to set up different attackers in different matchups, and Tord here is playing Gardevoir EX, plays a couple of Zacian V as its main attacker, does 60 plus 30 for every psychic energy on it. The Gardevoir EX's Psychic Embrace ability allows you to attach psychic energies from your discard pile to your Pokemon as many times as you would like, but every time you do that, you put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. You cannot knock out a Pokemon that way, so you only have a limited amount of times that you can accelerate your psychic energies into play based on the Pokemon's HP. He also has one of the Shining Arcana 1 prize. Gardevoir has basically the same attack as Zacian V. It just has a lower HP value than the Zacian V, but only gives up 1 prize, and it can evolve from your Curlias. The Curlias all have a refinement ability where you discard 1 card to draw 2 cards. And the Shining Arcana ability, get them confused a little bit, also allows you to draw 2 cards, and if either of those are psychic energies, attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. So they're all pretty good. You get to draw a lot of cards with this deck, but it does generally take a couple of turns to get going. For Alex here in this specific matchup, he's going to want to set up the Alolan Vulpix V-Star. Alolan Vulpix V-Star has an attack that does, I believe, 160 damage and prevents Pokemon with abilities from doing damage to it during the next turn. All of the Pokemon in the Gardevoir deck that do attacks that have any substantial amount of damage numbers all have abilities. I mean, you could attack with a Curlia and do 30. You could attack with a Ralts and do 10. But would you really want to do those? So it makes it really hard for Tord to be able to come out of it with the win if the Vulpix does get going. But Tord could always play something like a Boss's Orders to hit into other Pokemon that are not the Vulpix. Maybe if Alex is forced to set up a Pokemon that has a higher retreat cost like the Duraludon VMAX and is not fully set up yet, Tord could, just take a bunch of prizes off of that pretty easily. It can take Alex a lot of time to get going sometimes as well. Arceus decks do tend to be very inconsistent, especially when you're playing teched out versions like these Duraludon decks. Alex does have the double Drapion in here specifically for the Mew V matchup. You can accelerate to your own Drapions with your Arceus V-Star's Trinity Nova and ignore the fact that your opponent has Path to the Peak, essentially, because your Drapions don't have to use their own ability to reduce their own attack costs. If this is your first time watching anything Pokemon related, everything I'm saying to you makes absolutely no sense, and I don't blame you. But I'm trying to explain everything the best I can for those new players who do watch these videos. I do get comments from people who have never seen anything Pokemon related before and are trying to learn the game, and I try to bring these videos in at the lowest ceiling like that by explaining these cards, but I can't explain every single card in the game because there are just so gosh darn many of them. So Tord also gets this pretty good setup here where he gets a couple of his Ralts down along with a Radiant Greninja. Those Ralts are what evolve into the Curlia and then into the Gardevoir, so those are important to get down. The Radiant Greninja does allow him to use Concealed Cards. The ability on the Radiant Greninja discards a Psychic Energy in order to draw 2 cards. So again, a lot like the Curlia, it helps you dig deep, and you can use it early pretty easily. Unlike the Curlia, where you have to take a turn to at least get the Ralts into play to evolve it on the next turn, as per game mechanic rules. Tord also gets the Zacian V down, attaches to it, and then uses the Roar of the Sword ability of the Zacian V to search his deck for a Psychic Energy and attach it to the any of your Pokemon in play. So, chooses to do itself, of course. Zacian V is a pretty darn good attacker in this deck. You can equip it with the Skysteel Stone, which allows you for a V-Star power to use your basic V Pokemon to knock out one of your opponent's V-Star or V-Max Pokemon and take an additional prize if you do take that knockout. So we do see Alex uses the Colress's Experiment, one of the better draw cards in this deck, in order to look at the top 5 cards of his deck, put 3 of them in his hand, 2 of them into his Lost Zone. He doesn't care about the Lost Zone in this deck. He just really wants to deep draw as best he can. So you can only play 4 copies of any card, especially Professor's Research. So you play Colress's Experiment in addition, because that's the next best option to see as far into your deck as possible. Alex does also get the switch, so he is able to switch his Drapion to the bench and his newly benched Arceus V into the active. He attaches double Turbo Energy for turn, fulfilling the Trinity Charge attack cost of 2 colorless energies. Trinity Charge from the Arceus V then does allow Alex to search his deck for 3 basic energy cards and attach them to one of his Pokemon V in play, or any of his Pokemon V in play, actually. You can mix and match or split it up if you wanted to. He could have put 2 on the Drapion and 1 on the on itself in the active if he really wanted to, but he puts 3 onto the Drapion. Drapion is actually a pretty good attacker against Gardevoir EX specifically, because Gardevoir EX is Darkness weak, and Drapion is, of course, a Darkness Pokemon, so it does base 190 damage. You do have to do 60 to one of your own Pokemon when you use Drapion's attack, but it doesn't matter because you're one-shotting Gardevoir EX. 190 times 2 is 380, which is more than 310. Very important to note, Zacian V has Metal Weakness. That is going to be an inside joke for this channel, because I always forget. I forget when I commentate, I forget when I play, and I'm trying to burn it into my memory. Please stay tuned for when I get the League Challenge videos upcoming. There is a match where I play against Gardevoir, and I double Mirage Gate to a Drapion when I could have single Mirage Gated to a Raikou instead. And I punt that game straight out. It's going to be great. Stay tuned for that. It's fun. So we do concealed cards. We're going to draw a couple of cards here. And I think if you're Tord, you probably want to try to take out the Drapion this turn if you can. But that's asking a lot for this deck right now, right? You need the Rare Candy Gardevoir EX plus Boss's Orders, because you do need more than just 1 more energy on the Zacian. If you attach 1 for turn to the Zacian, you are doing 150. So you need the Gardevoir EX in play to be able to take that knockout. If you can remove that Drapion that's already in play with all of that energy, it would be really good. It would be almost equally as good to just take out the... Actually, no. It would be better to take out the Arceus V right now, because then that leaves Alex with only a Drapion to be able to attack with at all. So then if he does attack with it, he does 60 damage to himself, just softening himself up. So, yeah, if there's a world where Tord can go Rare Candy Gardevoir EX this turn, that would be really good. I do see Rare Candy and I do see Gardevoir EX in his hand. So this is what he does. He Rare Candies to the Gardevoir EX with that Ralts that's on the bench, right? He accelerates 1 energy to his Mew, does 2 damage counters to it. retreats into the Zacian, and then puts enough energy onto the Zacian just to be able to one-shot the Arceus V and force Alex into a position where he wants to knock out the Zacian with the Drapion. And if he does, Tord can just respond with knocking the Drapion out with the Gardevoir EX on the next turn. Now, if Alex doesn't want to attack with the Drapion, which I do suggest he does not do, he will have to find another Arceus V and another Pokemon to bench in order to Trinity Charge a second time, and that just gives Tord another turn to take another free 2 prizes on another Arceus V. So yeah, if Tord does this, he's basically already won the game. This is, again, like I use my chess analogies, this is check. Honestly, because it's an Arceus deck, this might even be checkmate. Yep, so he does Rare Candy Gardevoir, he does the Psychic Embrace, and he's going to put a bunch of energy onto this Zacian now. The Mew should have 2 damage counters on it. I think he's going to fix that now, because I think he's doing all the damage counters at once. Or no, maybe he attached for turn to the Mew, retreated, and then used the Psychic Embrace. I think I personally would have used the Psychic Embrace on the Mew, retreated, and then hard attached to the Zacian just so the Zacian has 20 more HP, but I think that honestly doesn't matter, so I think Tord probably did that more correctly than I would have. So we do see the Metal Energy on the Drapion and then a Judge. So yeah, he's trying to limit Tord's hand. Now, Alex does not play Path to the Peak, which would be fantastic in this matchup, especially right now. If he were to Path to the Peak and knock out with the Drapion, Tord would have no way to accelerate energy unless he draws into one of his stadiums or his worker, of which he only plays a total of 3 copies combined of those outs to his Path to the Peak in his deck. So this early in the game, when he hasn't gone so deep into the deck and with only 1 refinement, so he'd only see maybe 7 cards for the turn, 4 for the Judge, 1 as the draw for turn, and 2 off the Kirlia. That's not a lot with his deck as big as it is to see one of those 3 cards. Actually, it is more of a check situation than a checkmate, because this turn, Alex can go for the knockout with the Drapion, take 2 prize cards, and then next turn, if Tord knocks out the Drapion, Alex can go Raihan to the Arceus V, get the Arceus V star, and then potentially take another 2 prizes off another Zacian that way, and even it up a little bit. But since he damages the Arceus V on the bench, he is also forcing Tord to have another Zacian, as opposed to just being able to knock it out with the Gardevoir EX. Yeah, because if he damaged himself, that would open up that play. So he's making it as hard as possible for Tord to be able to take this knockout. But Tord will have access to a Shining Arcana Gardevoir he could evolve this Kirlia into, potentially. It looks like we are going to discard Cresselia and the second Gardevoir EX with this Ultra Ball. Tord playing mismatching Gardevoir EXs really bothers me. As I like to say all the time, I want to always play the same art of a card if I'm playing multiple copies, so that my opponent is least likely to know how many copies I play. So since you see 2 different Gardevoir EXs in Tord's deck, you know that there are at least 2 Gardevoir EX in the deck. If you saw 1 art game 1 and 1 art game 2, you know he's playing 2, even if you only saw 1 per game. I mean, it's kind of like a given for a Gardevoir deck to be playing that many Gardevoirs, but, you know, that's besides the point. So we are going to attach for a turn to the Mew again. We get a Sky Seal Stoned Zacian down onto the bench. And yeah, we might be able to take the knockout this turn on the Drapion. We do research as well Again, I would have liked to see the boss's orders on the Arceus V to take that out instead of the Drapion. I feel like that's honestly more of a threat than the Drapion is. We do see here comes Shining Arcana Gardevoir. And it looks like Alex is scooping it up right now because he knows Tord is probably going to take this knockout with Shining Arcana instead. And if Alex were to respond with the Arceus V-Star, he would take one prize, and then Tord already has the Zacian V-Star, the Zacian V on the bench to follow it up. So yeah, he could see the next, Alex can basically see 2 turns ahead there and knows exactly how that's going to play out. So he scoops to save time going into this next game. So Tord is up 1-0 in the International Championships Finals. Tord, of course, having 4 IC wins under his belt. And Alex being a runner-up at every regional he ever plays in. So we are going to have to see here. I do know that there are some funny prize cards in this matchup. I'm just not sure if it's this game or the next. I think it's the 3rd game. So 2 Judge, 1 Sharon's Care. Not super relevant. Tord's probably going to be trying to one-shot everything, so the Sharon's Care doesn't really matter. 1 Gardevoir EX, 1 Zacian. Not ideal, but you can play around that. You do play Miriam in the deck to recycle your own Zacian V. And your Gardevoir EX if need be as well. So Alex is using Nest Ball. Does get to start the Arceus V this time, so he is not bricking like he did game 1 here. Whenever I play Alex's deck at a tournament, though, every league, I've taken it to 2 league challenges, and I have brick city'd every single round. So I do not recommend taking Arceus to a best of 1 tournament. And I also do not recommend taking Lost Box to a best of 3 tournament, because that's what I did yesterday. Like, I don't know. I, don't know what if it's best of 3 or best of 1 until I show up, because I don't pay enough attention. I should really figure it out beforehand. So we do get the Alolan Vulpix V onto the bench, so that next turn we will be able to evolve it. And we can start charging it up with Arceus V-Star on the next turn. Tord does start Manaphy, probably your worst start in this matchup, just because you don't want to have Manaphy in play. It's just clogging your bench, so until Tord gets the Collapse Stadium to get it out of play, it's just going to be sitting there. Like, that's one more spot that could have been a Ralts, you know? So Tord is prize checking here, wants to make sure he knows exactly what he has. And also, game 1 is over, and they still have over 50 minutes left. So you know that these matchups are going to not take too long. They're playing at a very sufficient pace here. I know Tord can play very slow sometimes, but he is not doing so yet. So we battle VIP pass for 2 Ralts, we battle VIP pass again. I like that he doesn't just slap both of them down at the same time, because there are people out there who like to be rule sharks and be like, oh, so you failed the first one? And people like that always make me feel like I want to reach over the table and smack him across the face, but that's against the rules, so I don't do that. It's pretty clear intent, and judges are hyper aware that people do that, so they will always be like, yeah, you can tell by the intent that they're playing both at the same time, that they intend to use both of them, and they're just trying to save time. Like, there's no reason not to do it at the same time, really, but I always play them one by one, just like Tord just did, just to avoid having to have that conversation. So we do get another Ralts, and the Radiant Greninja here. So Radiant Greninja will be able to use its concealed cards this first turn. Even though there are no Kirlias, we will be able to get a draw too, which is pretty good. Hopefully to draw into some Kirlias. Oh, actually there's no Psychic Energies in hand, so never mind. Tord just getting it for the future, knowing he's likely going to be drawing into some Psychic Energies. Would rather get it off the Battle VIP Pass now than potentially a 4th Ralts that he can't really evolve into much of anything anyway. Although I'm not sure. I think getting a Ralts there instead of the Greninja would have been just as good, because then that could evolve into a Kirlia, or you could Rare Candy it into a Gardevoir. And then you could always find the Radiant Greninja and still get use out of it the same turn that you bench it. So I wouldn't have been opposed to Tord going for the 4th Ralts, but it's fine. It is more correct to go for the Greninja, but there is a world where you can get more value out of the Ralts. So we do just see the evolution into the Arceus V-Star. We have both the double turbo and an attached return of a metal energy, so we are able to use Trinity Nova, much like the Trinity Charge on the Arceus V, can search 3 energies, basic energies from your deck and put them onto your Pokemon in play, V Pokemon in play, however you'd like. But it also does base 200 damage, so it does 180 after the reduction from the double turbo energy, the minus 20. We do see a water and a metal goes down to the Alolan Vulpix V and a fighting onto the Arceus V. The energies, if you're not using the Duraludon, the energies don't matter except for the water. You need 1 water on the Vulpix to use its attack. The other 2 are colorless. Arceus uses purely colorless energies. So whether or not you're using metals or fighting, this doesn't really matter. If you are using Duraludon or planning to use Duraludon in a matchup, it does need 2 metal and 1 fighting in order to use its attack. So it is important to manage your colored energies in that case, all your basic energies. So Tord here, yeah, Tord's definitely slowed down his pace of play this game, it seems, even though he's won the first game. I think it's because he wants this match to... He always, like, it always seems like he's that guy who wants game 2 to go into a tie so that he can win just off of game 1. If he can do that. But in the finals here, there's so much time remaining that you can't even use that as a viable strategy. So you might as well just play faster to make sure there's as much time in game 3 to finish it out as possible. And so that you don't get any slow play warnings. Which I do believe Tord is going to get one in this game at some point. I heard. We do see the Ultra Ball goes for the Fish. Fish grabs Professor's Research so that he can discard his hand and draw a new one. He is going to Pal Pad the Judge back into his deck as well that he just Ultra Balled away. So that will be good. So we are going to see that deck get shuffled up pretty good now. And Tord is likely going to use the Research next. He does have a Ralts active. That could potentially become a Rare Candy Gardevoir. So I would love to see that. I don't think that there's any... Let's see. Can Tord take a knockout this turn? I don't think so. Just because of the fact that even if he gets Rare Candy Gardevoir EX and the Zacian onto the bench, how like... Oh, wow. He had it. Okay, he already had it. Okay. Oh, never mind. All right. Okay, he got Rare Candy Gardevoir EX. Cool. So what he needs to do is get enough energies into the discard pile to use in order to power up the Zacian. And I don't think that's going to happen when he only has like 2 or 3 in the discard pile right now. Let's see. In order to one-shot Arceus, I think he needs like at least 7 energies, right? So 7 or 8? Let me think. 8. Yeah, he needs 8 energies on a Zacian in order to one-shot an Arceus V-Star. And preferably the Sky Seal Stone as well. Just to take an additional prize card. But in this matchup, you're probably going to be taking 3 knockouts because all of the Pokemon that Alex will be putting into play are 2 prizers. So I don't think the math that the Sky Seal Stone adds is going to benefit in any way, because Alex doesn't play any 1 prizers besides Radiant Gardevoir. So I guess if you Sky Seal Stone, you just make sure that Alex never puts Radiant Gardevoir into play. And even if Alex does put Radiant Gardevoir down, Zacian still has the same math. It doesn't affect the Zacian math at all, because you're hitting 300 to take the knockout on a 280 Pokemon. But it looks like Tord was just fine with accelerating 3 energies to his active and hitting for 190, knowing that Alex is not going to likely have a way to knock out the Gardevoir EX with just a Trinity Nova. Now, the scary thing here is if Alex gets Vulpix V-Star, he wins the game. So, Vulpix V-Star will make it so all of Tord's Pokemon with abilities cannot attack into it. Tord hasn't taken any prize cards yet. Tord does not play Echoing Horn. He does not play Escape Rope. There is no way to reset the effect on the Vulpix V-Star and knock it out in the same turn. And there is no way to knock out enough Pokemon on the board besides the Vulpix. So it looks like we are going to be using Starbirth here for Alex. He is going to be grabbing, it looks like, Switch and Choice Belt. Looks like he was thinking about the Vulpix V-Star. Maybe he has an Ultra Ball? No, he's going to Shuffle now. Yeah, I think if you're Alex, you just go for the Vulpix V-Star this turn and just start swinging. Because if Tord, even with Boss's orders, Tord can only knock out the Arceus V-Star and the Arceus. Oh, it was Escape Rope. Escape Rope Choice Belt. Interesting. Yeah, even if Tord knocks out both of those 2 prize Pokemon, Tord only ever goes down to 2 prize cards. And then Alex just eventually wins off of just the Vulpix. Oh, now he's going to Ultra Ball. Okay, yeah, I would have just done it before. I would have just said I'm going to go back in Escape Rope. But I guess this way, by shuffling and not saving that time going back into it, he does make it seem to Tord like Tord has to read the card. He's just doing that for fun. He does make it so, like maybe he makes it so Tord thinks that he doesn't have the Vulpix V-Star, and then he goes for the Ultra Ball after and shows, haha, I did have it. And it might influence Tord's decision on which Pokemon he's knocking out. And that's why Alex also went for the Choice Belt, because he knows Tord is going to want to promote the Lumineon. And by attaching the Choice Belt to the Vulpix, it does let it hit for 190 on the Lumineon and take that one shot there. So now, if you're Tord, what do you do? I know the entire contents of his deck list. He might just want to play out this game just so that he sees as many of Alex's cards as possible. Or force Alex to do something. I guess he could always, like, boss up the Arceus V on the bench and hope that Alex doesn't have the ability to retreat it. But Tord's also already used his Pal Pad, and he only plays 1 boss. So he can only boss 1 time for this entire match. So I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know why Tord is playing it out, because he has no outs. So a lot of people now are cutting one of the 2 Zacian Vs that Tord was playing for a Mimikyu EX. It's one of the things that I've done as well. Mimikyu EX is definitely worse than the Zacian V. It caps out at a lower damage number, unless your opponent has more energy on their Pokemon. If they have 3 or more energy on their Pokemon, you can hit higher numbers for less energy than the Zacian can. But it's not a V, so you can't use Sky Seal Stone with it. So that is a major downside. But again, it's a lot easier to knock out things like Lugia with it. It also has less HP to begin with, so the amount of energy you can get onto the Mimikyu V, or the Mimikyu EX, is a lot lower. But one of the things that you can do here if you're Tord is you can Memory Skip. So that Ralts that he had in his hand just there has an attack called Memory Skip, where it does 10 damage, and then you make your opponent's Pokemon forget one of its attacks. So since Alex has already used his Escape Rope, Alex only plays 1 Switch, 1 Escape Rope. You Memory Skip the Vulpix, call the Silvery Snow, whatever it's called, whatever that first attack is, and he can't use it the next turn. So now Alex has to find Switch. He could switch into the Arceus and then retreat that and then get back into going for it. But it looks like Tord wanted to... Oh, Tord Rock Sand first. So this is good. So since he Rock Sand, Alex only has 2 cards in hand. Tord has the ability to go for the memory skip now. So I just don't know if Tord sees it or not. Because, yeah, if you memory skip the Vulpix, it can't use its attack, so it would have to retreat into the Arceus, and then it would just use Trinity Nova, and then on the next turn, you boss's orders. So maybe that's what's happening. Tord is probably playing for a point where he can memory skip and have boss in hand at the same time. So he's using as many of his draw cards as possible to draw as many cards as he can. He's Rock Sand this turn. You might as well use that. I mean, you could use that Gardevoir this turn. And draw another 2 cards with that. But yeah, I definitely think you have to memory skip this turn. And then just hope you find boss's orders next turn. But wait, do I remember Tord prizing it? Let me go back and look. I think I saw the prize cards on this little preview window here. If I can. If Tord prized boss's orders, he's just boned. Can I see the prize cards, please? Yeah. He did. His first 2 prize cards have the boss's orders in it. So yeah, so if I were Tord, I would just scoop go to the next game. I mean, he could Moonglow reverse, too, and start trying to heal his Pokemon on his bench. Knock out the Arceus. Yeah, he could do that. Yeah, he could Moonglow reverse this turn, knock out the Arceus V-Star, and then save memory skip for a future turn. After he gets the boss's orders off his prize cards. Yeah, so yeah, this is the perfect play, legitimately. So he's putting 2 damage counters on all his guys. And this is awesome. You love to see the Moonglow reverse turns where you just do this, because you can get a bunch of energy on a lot of your guys and then have them all be fully healed at the same time. It's great. Yeah, he has memory skip Ralts in play as well. So yeah, he's gonna... Yeah. He could have also used Moonglow reverse and put it to the Vulpix. He could have also Lunar Blasted to the Vulpix as well, but I mean, that just does not get you far enough. There are some people who are also playing the Chilling Reign Gallade in their Gardevoir decks. I don't think that it's good enough, unfortunately. I really do like it. I think it's a good card. It is good against Arceus specifically, but it's not good against Vulpix. Well, actually, it is kind of okay against Vulpix. It has 170 HP, so it can't get one-shot by the Vulpix. But if it's lone Vulpix that's in play, you only hit it for 60. So you can hit it for 60 twice, and then come in with a Moonglow reverse. But that doesn't do it. So you have to, like, let's see. Yeah, that's 230. So then you have to weave in a memory skip into there, and you're 3-shotting the Vulpix. But that's only if there's lone Vulpix. If there's 2 Vs in play, the Gallade does 120. So then you're 2-shotting it. So that's really good. So it's just really a matter of preference on how you want to tech for it. I think maybe the Gallade might be better than the Mimikyu, in all honesty. But I like playing 2 Shining Arcana Gardevoirs, and that makes it so there's no room for the Gallade. So I have to play the Mimikyu. It's just, this specific matchup is just very intricate. So we're seeing a bunch of cards being drawn by Tord here. So now he has to... Yeah, so now he has to memory skip this turn and hold boss. Which he did take off the prize cards, so long as he took his prize cards in the correct order. And of course, while I was ranting, we did just see the attack from the Vulpix to knock out the Cresselia as well. So we have 1 bench space. It is enough to get the memory skip going. We have the boss's orders in hand for next turn. All we have to do is hope that Alex does not play Judge on this next turn. If Alex has double turbo Judge, he just wins. And if he doesn't, there is a world where Tord can win. But I do love that Tord, like, really does know his outs. And I did hear that Tord tested this matchup 0. Like, he had no idea how to handle it. He just looked at the deck list, said, all right, I think I have somewhat of a game plan idea, and didn't even bother testing it. Which is kind of crazy to me. But you did play a gigantic amount of rounds 2 days in a row. So I don't blame him for just wanting to go to bed. Right, so we are going for the Shining Arcana Gardevoir this turn? Are we gonna... No, we can't be bossing the Arceus V-Star this turn, can we? Why are we doing this? Alright, we're gonna see an Ultra Ball get another Psychic Energy into the discard pile. We've already retreated for turns, so this Gardevoir does have to stick active now. And you have a limited amount of time before Alex definitely draws into an out. You Roxanne'd him the previous turn. And Alex had already been forced to use his V-Star power too, so he can't use Arceus V-Star's V-Star power in order to try to get whatever he needs. With this version of the Arceus deck as well for Alex, you really want to not Starbirth if you can avoid it. Yeah, it looks like Tord's going for the boss Arceus turn. But he's already used his Pal Pad. So now how's he gonna get... Oh, maybe he wants to memory skip while there's no Pokemon in play for Alex? So that then there's nothing that he can retreat to? That's why. That's why he's doing it this way. But yeah, again, that would be another reason why to hold off your Starbirth, because Alolan Vulpix actually has a V-Star power, which is an attack you can do that costs 0 energy and does 70 damage times the amount of Pokemon V, I believe your opponent has in play. Which, honestly, right now is 0. So that still wouldn't help Alex, actually. But yeah, if Tord was attacking with, like, a Zacian instead and had to load up a bunch of energies onto it, you could just hit it for 70 plus 30 for the Choice Belt. Be 100. You'd knock it out. Silvery Snow Star, I believe it's called. But he did use his V-Star power at a really good time. So. So, if you're Alex, what do you do here? You definitely have to get another basic Pokemon. I tried going lone. Yeah, I tried going lone Vulpix with this deck, and you do just lose to memory skip if you do that. I would have won my match at a league challenge playing this deck had I been able to use my V-Star power, but I had to Starbirth because I just kept bricking every single round. So like my second turn was Starbirth like every game. I like how Tord just spreads out his whole discard pile like that. It's really nice to see. I never really feel like I have enough room on the board to be able to spread out my discard pile like that. I used to do that all the time when I played Vespiquen. I played Vespiquen for like a straight like 6 months to a year. Like only. And then I did bring it back for a couple tournaments too, even after it was what I would say good. Played it at a Dallas Regionals. I got like top like 512 or something stupid like that. 256, I don't even remember. Tord's looking at his deck. He's like, yes, I do own cards. They are in there. Yeah, so this is why I would have preferred to maybe memory skip before and then boss up the Vulpix the next turn after it retreats. Because it would have to retreat into something that can attack into the Ralts and knock it out, because the Ralts with memory skip ends up being a threat. So I do actually think that knocking out the Pokemon on the bench was a misplay, at least in hindsight, just because Alex was able to get another bench Pokemon and with a double turbo energy on it to boot. Now Alex can knock out the Gardevoir EX if he gets one more double turbo energy, right? He got 9, 8, 7, 6. he'd be doing 150 times 2 for weakness is 300. It already has 40 damage on it. Yeah, you'd be able to knock it out in one hit. So yeah, so at this point, if I were Tord, I would have to scoop now because there's no more out. Well, I guess, yeah, I would have to. Well, no. Oh, God, this is so weird. No, Tord can still win. He can memory skip right now, and as long as Alex doesn't get a double turbo energy, Tord still wins. Because Alex could retreat into Drapion and then lose. Oh, the Temple of Sinnoh really helps too here, because that makes the double turbo energy 1 energy. I guess, in my opinion, going for the memory skip first and then bossing it back up was a safer play, because what's the likelihood Alex has Switch in his 3-card hand? Because then he could retreat, switch, attach energy. How would he have that in like 4 cards? Unlikely. Ooh, Tord's gonna judge now? Oh, he has Luminion and double turbo. This is, oh yeah, that's really good. No, play the judge. Play it. You have to. Well, he has all of his deck in his hand. He has to play judge anyway. Yeah, Tord's really struggling. He doesn't know if he should judge or not. He has to, though. Yeah, this game he's probably definitely getting a slow play warning, though, because this turn's getting to be a little bit much. But yeah, if I were Alex, I would have been like, yeah, no, I had the double turbo. That was right to judge me there. So Tord draws 4, Alex draws 4. Alex still hasn't even looked at his cards yet. It's ballsy. I guess that way his opponent does not get to see his face. Like, it might be really good or really bad. So here comes the memory skip. We're going to see it. Yeah, he's going in for memory skip, so he does 10 damage to the Vulpix. Yeah, and he can't use the V-Star power attack. It's only the 1. Alex just, like, prays. Tord's praying. This is funny, actually. I don't know. That hand looks a little dead. Nest Ball can get another Pokemon. Looks like he's thinking about Duraludon. This is probably, honestly, the most exciting single game that I've seen over the course of this entire tournament. It might also be because I played both of these exact 60s at this point. We're going to Ultra Ball for the Luminion. Luminion for the Research. Oh yeah, he's gonna look for the Switch now. He needs Switch Stadium. Stadium is very likely to get, in my opinion, because he plays for Lost City and we haven't seen one yet. Or I don't think we've seen one yet. But the Switch. Switch is a 1-of in his deck. He's already used Escape Rope, he can't use Escape Rope. And even if he did play Escape Rope, that puts Memory Skip back to the bench. So it just gives Tord 1 more turn to be able to do what he needs. He also gets the double turbo and the Switch. Oh, yeah, Alex won. Yeah, he could just attack with Drapion, for God's sake. Or, yeah, he's going to attach an energy to the Luminion, Switch, retreat, and attack. And then knock out the Ralts. So, yeah, that was really close. And again, I think if Tord went for the play the other way, where he forces Alex to retreat the Vulpix to the bench, and then he bosses it up to knock out the Vulpix, that removes the threat entirely. So that might have won Tord that game. And I do believe that Tord said he did misplay in the finals, so that is a crazy single game, to be sure. We're going to skip ahead a little bit, try to save some of the time on the clock because these games do run long. All of a sudden, my video kicked down. We should be almost there. They're going to both draw their 7, set up. Looks like Tord is starting the Moonglow reverse. I missed Alex's on his side. So the Vulpix V-Star is prized. I do believe that the crowd just screams and Tord looks at Alex. Alex looks at him and they both laugh. They can tell that the crowd knows that there's something, like, they both know. And I heard this from Tord on like on a podcast or something. They didn't know who prized something super important, but both of them knew that if it was them, it was in the top 2 prize cards. So if the crowd yells so loud that it drowns out your white noise that you've been given, do you get penalized for taking your prize cards in a different order? So that's the question. I think I would still set my prize cards out the exact... I think if I were Tord, I would still take my prize cards in the same way. But if I was Alex, I would say if it's me that they're screaming about, my Vulpix is in the top 2 prize cards. So I would need to take it. And as soon as he looks through his first deck search, so I think that the crowd does give Alex that information, and I don't think he can be penalized for it. Because, like, they would... The only people who could get penalized for it is the crowd. So they could go out and DQ every single person in the crowd. And that's honestly something that Pokemon would do, in all honesty. But yeah, if I were Alex, I would actually take my prize cards top to bottom in this match in particular. I would never do that otherwise, but... I mean... Pokemon put me into a position where I was given information I was not supposed to have. By no fault of my own. And there's no reason why I would not be able to take advantage of that legitimately. That's a very weird question. Like, that's a very hard question to answer. Is it okay to take your prize cards in a different order? Especially in this situation when the crowd screams about it. So anyway, Tord is going Fog Crystal double Level Ball to get double Ralts and Mew. It would have been preferred to have the Battle VIP pass here, because you like to save your Level Balls if you can for the Kirlias, and your Fog Crystals for like Zacian V or Psychic Energies at different points. We do retreat the Cresselia with the Moonglow reverse attack into the Mew so that we can use Mysterious Tail, hoping to find a Battle VIP pass. And there it is. Tord does slap it down. I do believe he's probably received the slow play penalty at this point, so he is trying to play faster here. Oh, I like that. I know that Tord always plays with the Celebi plushie, the old Celebi plushie that he has there. But I just realized I think that's a Kirlia plushie as well that he has. Which is kind of funny because Tord's done some deep tournament runs before with Gardevoir decks. Tord's favorite decks that he's ever played are Zoroark, Gardevoir, and anything that involves a monkey, Oranguru. I don't think I've seen him play a single deck that wasn't any of those, in all honesty. Like when he played Lost Box, he had Oranguru in it. Is there a deck that he's ever played on stream that did not include a single copy of a Zoroark card, a Gardevoir card, or an Oranguru card? If somebody can please let me know in the comments down below, please do, because I don't think I've ever seen it happen. Or at least I don't remember it happening. Also, guys, while you are down there, make sure you hit like on this video if you are enjoying it. And make sure you hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this. I got a lot of local league challenge videos coming up right after this goes live, so in the days coming up. My friends are basically rushing me to get these last couple rounds down onto my channel before I can, so I can post my League Challenge stuff a little bit earlier. They've been hounding me for it for a week, so we're gonna accelerate the upload schedule a little bit to try to satiate my friends' palates. But I got like another 2 weeks of content already queued up for League Challenges. I just have to, you know, do the recordy commentary part. But I got the videos recorded. So, Shemansky's first turn, not looking too good. Just Nest Ball for an Arceus V, attach an energy, and pass with a Drapion start. That's really not what you want to see. And game 1, he did start Drapion and didn't really have much else to go for him as well. And it's happening again. So this is looking a lot like game 1 already. So Tord does have a pretty well set up board. He's got 3 Ralts. That's usually the magic number that you want to hit. They can evolve into Curlias this turn. He's got, it looks like 2 of those at least in his hand. Along with a Gardevoir, he could always hit a rare candy if he doesn't already have one in hand. I don't think he does. There's definitely one of his 2 on the bottom of his deck. So yeah, it looks like he's level balling for another Curlia. Under normal circumstances, I would want to use one Curlia, refinement to draw into the next Curlia, to refinement to draw into the next Curlia, etc. But I think here, since you already have 2 in hand, you might as well just evolve all of them at once, or evolve them one by one and have them all in your hand. Or you could always discard the 3rd Curlia with a refinement if you find the rare candy before then to get the Gardevoir online. And you could always Moonglow reverse as well and put the damage on maybe the Arceus. It's weird. Do you want a Moonglow reverse to the Drapion or to the Arceus? Probably the Arceus. It's more threatening. But if you do it to the active, you could always hit it with the Gardevoir EX on the next turn. So we're going to see Fog Crystal, probably to get another Psychic Energy. You don't want to get a basic Psychic Pokemon here because you do not have a bench spot, so... We're going to Ultra Ball away 2 energies, so we're getting quite a lot of energies in there very early, which is good. This is only turn 2, remember. He's already got 6 energies in the discard pile. We do get the Shining Arcana Gardevoir. Maybe we might evolve into that this turn. I do like the sound of that. He does have the EX in hand already, but if he has the rare candy available to him, it would actually be better to rare candy into the Shining Arcana because you can still draw 2 with it. Either that, or you can just evolve into the other Curlia and then use refinement with that, and then just pass with the Mew active, and then you can evolve again. Oh, it looks like that's a big whiff. I mean, I don't think Tord's really looking for too much. I think he's looking for the rare candy. If he can, that's why he still hasn't evolved the Ralts yet. But if, of course, rare candy appears above my head, just as I say that. But it's not, like, you're not too bent out of shape if you don't get that. Oh, I guess you could have attacked with the Shining Arcana Gardevoir. No, you couldn't because you just evolved all the Curlias this turn. Yeah, no, I think this is fine. Yeah, so there were a few different routes this could have gone. You could have attacked with the... You could have attacked with the Cresselia with either of its attacks. You could have potentially rare candied into a Gardevoir, attacked with either of them. But looks like Shamansia here has got the switch, is able to put the Arceus V face up in attack position here. And we go for the Ultra Ball for the V-Star. And as long as we have the double turbo already in hand... Oh, nope, we go for the Judge after putting Lost City into play. Lost City is really good in this matchup because if you can manage to knock out a Curlia or a Gardevoir or even a Ralts, that'll end up going into the Lost Zone. And they cannot be ever recovered by Miriam. So that does make it a lot harder for Tord to be able to set up. Or reset up, rather. Yeah, so Alex is thinking here, I guess he does not draw what he needs off of the Judge, so he is forced to Starbirth. Again, you would love to save it so that you could Silvery Snowstar with the Alolan Vulpix if you had to. But if you gotta do it, you gotta do it. Arceus always does seem to be missing one or two key pieces sometimes. V-Star! Oh, we haven't seen that at all in this match, so... V-Star. We do get the Alolan Vulpix V down. I think if you're Tord, you try to assume that the Vulpix V-Star is prized. Either way, you really want to find your boss's orders this turn so that you can boss up the Vulpix and knock it out. I also think that not putting 2 energy to the Vulpix telegraphs that it's in the prize cards as well. So that may give you an extra turn or two to be able to knock out the Vulpix pretty easily here. So Tord is, I mean, he's got the setup so that he might be able to go for even a Sky Seal Stone one-shot this turn. Again, Sky Seal Stone not super useful because you do have to go through 3 Vs no matter what. So you might as well take all 6 of your prize cards off of that. But I mean, if you prize something important like that boss's orders again, by using the Sky Seal Stone, that does allow you to take an additional prize to have one more chance to see into something like that. The only problem with that is it does make you fall victim to Roxanne one turn earlier. So that would be a good reason not to Sky Seal Stone in this matchup. Sky Seal Stone you usually use against something like Lugia. Or Mew VMAX or Regieleki VMAX. Those are the matchups where it's the most useful. But otherwise, in this matchup, not very relevant unless you're forced to go through a Radiant Gardevoir at some point. Which we haven't even seen from Alex at all so far. So we've used all 3 refinements here. It looks like Tord might have not been getting what he wanted. That Judge was pretty crucial there because it did shuffle those Gardevoirs back into the deck. Tord had everything he needed. Alex did see him Ultra Ball for the Gardevoir Shining Arcana a turn early. So yeah, now Tord's got 2 Zacian in hand, but no Gardevoirs. So now he has to Ultra Ball yet again for a Gardevoir. It almost feels like it was a waste to do it the previous turn. Also, my cat is looking at me longingly. I'll feed you dinner after this. She threw up on my couch this morning. Pissed me off. I think she just drinks her water too fast. Yeah, not. So we do get the Gardevoir EX here. So we might be able to go for a big Zacian turn. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 energies in the discard pile. We do need... Ooh. Okay, so Tord mentioned this in the podcast that I watched a couple days ago. So this is a misplay. Discarding the Zacian here. So he was given a slow play warning earlier in the game. He Ultra Balls that Zacian away, and then immediately realizes that his Pal Pad is prized. Or something. Or he already discarded his Pal Pad and his Miriam is prized. I don't remember what it was. But he prized something crucial, and discarding that Zacian V was a huge blow to himself here, and he's looking through his deck and realizing it. So that ended up being a misplay. So because he was given the slow play warning, he wasn't looking through his deck as sufficiently as he normally would to identify certain prize cards. And manages to miss, I think, the Pal Pad. I think it was. So we do get we have the Gardevoir EX in hand. We can evolve one of these two. So now we have both the Shining Arcana and the EX Gardevoirs in play. So we will be able to do whatever attack we would like this turn. You could, let's see, you have now... Yeah, it's still just 7 energies. You are, I think, 1 energy short from being able to one-shot the Arceus. So I think what you would want to do instead is maybe Moonglow Reverse. Looks like he's going to boss up the Vulpix. You can definitely knock that out with whatever you want. So do you attack with the Gardevoir EX, or do you attack with the Shining Arcana Gardevoir? I think you attack with the EX. Well, or do you attack with the Zacian V? I think you definitely attack with the Gardevoir here, save the Zacian V for a future turn. Because... Or no, you can't, because the Drapion has 2 energies on it. That's 1 double turbo energy away from being able to one-shot the Gardevoir EX. So no, you have to attack with either the Zacian or the Shining Arcana Gardevoir now. So yeah, so this will be possibly towards only use of the Zacian V. So he just puts... 5 energies on it, so that's 100 damage. He is going to also Temple of Sinnoh, make it so Alex has to find his next Lost City in order to replace it to make the double turbos come on again. Tord is just straightening out his discard pile. And... we're probably just going to see the knockout on this Alolan Vulpix V now. Yeah, and again, I think I would have rather seen the Shining Arcana Gardevoir do that attack, because then the Zacian V would be protected, so that you could use it to one-shot the Arceus V-Star this turn. And then you could potentially win the game off of... And also, since the V-Star was prized for Alex, you could have just bossed the Drapion instead, knocked that out this turn. And then saved... the Vulpix for an attack with the Gardevoir EX later, but you don't know that the Vulpix V-Star is prized, and you have to play like Alex pulled it off his prize cards off of that one prize no matter what, you know? Like, you have to assume it's going to come into play at some point, and it's so hard to play around sometimes that it's just better to get it off the board. But the way that the HP values work out, the fact that Alex had both the Drapion and the Vulpix down really made that turn hard. Yeah, now there's 10 energies in the discard pile, it looks like. And both Zacian. Yeah, so now your remaining attackers for the matchup are Moonglow Reverse, Cresselia, and both of these 2 Gardevoirs. Yeah, again, there's not much of anything left in deck here. Only, what, 6 cards? 6 cards, yeah. The tape on those headsets just, like, really throws me off. Again, they either really love covering up branding or they really love using stuff that they should pay more money for. Just, like, not replacing things that are broken. Like the tournament structure. I'm in the minority that loved Cities and States better than Cups and Challenges. I do really like Cups and Challenges, but it was nice to just be able to play real locals for most of the year and only have to care about cities for 3 months out of the year. If you get enough points during that 3-month period, you can go for your invite. If you don't, you don't. We are seeing the judge here. Alright, both players are going to shuffle in, draw a new 4. Tord really, I mean, it doesn't really affect Tord too much because he's got so little cards left to begin with. It's going to affect Alex more here to see if he's going to really get what he needs. We do only need 1 more energy on the Drapion V to attack, but we do still need 2 metal energy onto the Duraludon V, but that could always be just an attach for a turn and a Raihan, because he does play the Raihan. That is the most likely way to get it set up at this point anyway. And that Drapion is very threatening here. Looks like we have a couple ball searches, a choice belt, and a research. So Alex does draw a pretty good hand off of that, but you still would have liked to see maybe the boss's orders so that you could knock out the Gardevoir EX, maybe, with the Drapion. That would be kind of fun. So let's see. We've got 6 energies times 3 is 180. Plus 60. Yep. So not enough for a one-shot. So that is a really unfortunate Gardevoir EX there. And again, if he didn't discard that other Zacian earlier in the game, he would have been able to use the Zacian this turn to take the knockout on that. And yes, Alex would be able to go to 1 prize card remaining, but then Tord would still be able to attack with the Shining Arcana Gardevoir in this next turn to be able to one-shot either of those 2 bench Pokemon with just a boss's orders. But Tord did already use his boss's orders. He only plays the 1. So it's like, yeah, again, it's just a really bad situation to be in. I think it really just comes down to Alex just got a little bit too fast of a start for Tord, and Tord just ends up being 1 turn behind. And that's how it feels playing Gardevoir a lot of the time. If you can get the Rare Candy Gardevoir EX turn 2, it feels like you win every game. But if you don't get it, you always feel like you're 1 turn behind. And sometimes that's fine because your opponent ends up whiffing for a turn. And that's just the way the format is. There's so many less good consistency options. Because a lot of them did rotate out like Quick Ball. You can't really have a reliable way to find your Luminion anymore. You only have Ultra Ball to get to it now. So Alex does take another prize card, a couple prize cards he's got. So he's got 2 left here. Still has that Vulpix V-Star in the prize cards, but he does have the Vulpix V already in the discard pile, so it doesn't matter. So is Alex going to be able to take this off of the back of all of his Pokemon not named Vulpix? Get Rare Candy. We're going to Fog Crystal for nothing. There's 4 cards left in deck. Rare Candy, Collapsed, Ralts, Memory Skip Ralts, and something else. I think that it's good that Tord has specifically been making sure that the Memory Skip Ralt stays in his deck so that he can use that on a Vulpix if need be. It almost worked for him in that previous game. Alex just absolutely drew the nuts. He like got research off the judge. And Tord did have to judge because there was a double turbo in there. So Tord's got like 4 cards left in his deck. He can conceal some cards. He already refinemented some cards. Got Penny collapsed. I mean, yeah, the only attacker that he really has here is Moonglow Reverse right now. So he can Moonglow Reverse to his Guardy. And his Curlia if he wants to. And then take the 2 prize knockout on the Arceus V-Star. And then he needs to find a way to... It would be nice if Moonglow Reverse would just allow you to move 2 damage counters from all of your Pokemon to whatever opponent's Pokemon you want, not just one of them. Because if you could move them to more than just one, you could put 3 to the Drapion. Oh, and it looks like Alex took the boss off his prize cards, or top decked it for turn, and is able to take the final 2 prize cards with the Drapion V, winning Alex his first major event ever. Instead of getting second at all of them. And Tord, surprisingly not winning an IC. You wouldn't have thought it would end this way. I hope you guys all enjoyed. As always, do not forget to hit that like button. It is super important. Subscribe to the channel. It's right nearby to that like button. To make sure that you see all of these great videos as they come out if you want to keep following those. And comment down below how you think this match went, because I think this was a really interesting one to watch. I did like to see how it seemed like Tord should have just scooped, but he almost managed to win even through the Vulpix. And it goes to show that Vulpix was really just a tech that beats the small brain players like ourselves and not someone like Tord. But we will see you guys next time.